Everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest I have not spoken to in a while. It's about time to catch up with the man. Well, he's not from Cuba exactly, but he was born in 1984, and he is the son of the most famous Cuban bodybuilder of all time, Sergio Oliva Jr. How are you, sir? What's
up, Ron? I'm good.
I realized last Thursday, a week ago, was your dad's birthday, July 4th.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. He used to tell us that the fireworks are for him.
Well, I mean, how crazy is it that he always dreamed of going to America and he was born on Independence Day?
Random, right? I know. Yeah, he got me in a lot of arguments at school when I would be arguing, telling people they don't know what they're talking about.
Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, geez, I can't even remember the last time we spoke in one of these. It's been so long. I don't think we even talked about the Olympia. So
yeah. I kind of disappeared after the Olympia. I needed a little break. It was a rough year. So
yeah. So what happened? The Olympia. What was the Olympia experience like? I know it's been almost a damn year now, but I haven't talked to you about it. What was the Olympia like for you? Your first Olympia?
It was really cool. I think because I just know going into the Olympia, you're not gonna. Unless you're Phil Heath, there's not going to be another Phil Heath anymore, and I say this all the time. There's not going to be any more people that qualify for the Olympia their first time and they're in the first call-out. It's going to be
rare.
Another Ronnie Coleman that's going to come out maybe in the future, hopefully by the time I'm retired, before we'll ever see somebody doing something like that. So I think going into it, I didn't. It was probably the first show I didn't have any pressure, and after Chicago having the most pressure I've ever had in my life, and then Tampa for that pressure to get that qualification, it was almost just like it was fun. It really was, and I said it at the press conference, which was really cool. I got picked to be one of the 11 or whatever it was open guys. So there were some guys from past Olympias that placed that didn't get picked on that. And that was really cool because I know I was picked for that and it had nothing to do with my dad. So, yeah, and I said that at the press conference that I really was I felt like I had the best backstage pass possible. And I got to hang out with these guys. And it was really cool to see, like, who's in what cliques and who hangs out backstage and who doesn't like each other. And I really was just getting off on that and just the experience about it. But having said that, that would probably be the last time I'll ever feel like that. From every time after, I will be going to try and place and kill it, and I'm sure the pressures will come with it. But it was cool. It was cool to at the pros meeting, with the booths. So many people were coming up to me saying that they even only came for the Olympia to see me because they had seen my dad on stage when they were younger, and they just wanted to say they did that. So there was just a bunch of stuff that had nothing to really do with me that I was just getting off on just being a part of that.
Yeah, I'm bummed that you're not in it this year, for many reasons. But the press conference was hilarious with you and Nathan Dasha going at each other. I mean, I was getting like cramps from laughing so hard. You guys are hilarious. Just ripping at each other.
People talked about that press conference more than anything I did the whole year. It was pretty ridiculous, but I love it, and everyone hates Nathan. I think because sometimes people don't know how to handle him. But I think as long as you're not taking things to a personal level in the open, you're only creating more buzz for bodybuilding, and it's only helping all of us as a whole. Yeah. So I never have a problem with him, and I'm not ever going to tell anybody, like, behind backstage, this guy's the one coming up to me asking me what I think about his physique and stuff like that. So he's not who he pretends to be. I'll say that. He's well more tamed than he puts off. But yeah, it was really cool. It was awesome that was the highlight, besides the Eeyore comment, which was probably the highlight of the press conference.
That was someone called Shawn Rhoden Eeyore? Was it Phil Heath called him that, right? Yeah. Eeyore.
Yeah.
Oh, that came back to haunt him the next night, didn't it? Wow. But
yeah, it was wild, and exactly, I was able to be there for history, and it was cool that I was making history on my own, but I was also able to be there and watch. And Shawn is a mentor of mine. Shawn's helped me for a long time. I don't know if I would have won New York if he didn't show up to the gym one day and make me train with him and Charles every day leading up to that show. So that was really cool. And then I get to see him. And that's who I spent the time with that night with. I was with him after. So that was really cool.
Well, see, since he's a friend of yours and he's helped you out and everything, does it bother you that, I wouldn't say he's gotten a lot of hate, but he hasn't gotten a lot of love from the fans? He does have fans. Obviously, he's got 1.5 million followers. on IG. But man, people have been brutal to him, especially the guest posing. Obviously, I knew once I saw those pictures, like, oh my god, everyone's gonna have a field day with this, and we all did. But does it bother you that he hasn't gotten the respect, the admiration that you would expect a reigning Mr. Olympia to get?
Well, I've been saying this for a while that Jay and Ronnie lucked out because they were ending in the beginning of the social media phase, and that's just what it is. And that's what I mean. Look, Phil has a lot of qualities that I have myself, where you got to where you are, and none of these people helped you. So really, at the end of the day, he doesn't care, and that like throws people off, like, because he doesn't care about their opinion. Now all of a sudden Phil's a dick, he's the worst Mr. Olympia ever, and Phil got it more worse than anybody. I mean, I say it all the time, he's the LeBron of bodybuilding, and he will still win and he'll still get haters, but I think it's more that we're not realizing it's just the age of social media, and it's going to continue to be like that. And Shawn, I don't think Shawn's ever actually had any hate his whole career. I mean, he's won shows, but most of the time, he's always the guy who got screwed. He should have won. He had the best shape. He lost to Dennis Wolf at the Arnold. There were so many shows where he never really gave people an opportunity to hate him because he never was just dominant, I would say. So I think this is new for him to have people hating on him in general, but now we need to all know, and every open bodybuilder for the future needs to know, this is what comes with being Mr. Olympia, and it's going to be like that. And unless you're somehow able to be like Mr. Kumbaya with everybody, which Shawn is almost, he's the most like monotone Mr. Olympia ever, and he still got so much hate. But with the guest posing is really crazy for me because I had the same exact experience, the same thing. I won nationals, and then I was asked to do that guest posing. During that time, I was going through a really hard phase of my life. I actually stopped training. I was really depressed, and I didn't want to do the guest posing. And Shawn is the one who told me to do it. He was telling me that, look, not a lot of people get picked for that. I mean, that's like a very special event, especially as me being pretty much an amateur. I hadn't even done a pro show by then. Right. And he told me to go do it because I need to, be honored that I'm going to do that. And you don't turn down Jim Manning at the last minute for that show. That's not a good career move. So I did it, and yeah, I looked worse than Shawn, I assure you, way worse. And of course, everybody came out of the woodworks about how I won, and I'm never going to win a show, and Nationals was a flop. Shawn Ray did like 16 different specials on how shitty I was, and so when I saw Shawn going through it, it just reminded me that that's kind of what I went through, and he did the same thing. He's like me. We are bodybuilders, and we do it for a living, and we do the sport. We're not one of these 24/7, 365 bodybuilders. I do want to spend a certain part of my life not being that guy, because when I take that break, I'm excited to get back. I'm excited to kill the gym, excited to get back on my diet, and also we do have a life outside of bodybuilding. And him having a kid, which he's the first Mr. Olympia to win. First Mr. Olympia to win while having a baby in his house. There's no one who's ever done that before. I think Dex had like an older child, and Ronnie had like 7 illegitimate.
You're too young, man. You don't remember Lee Haney had a baby.
No, Lee. So I say this all the time. Look, Lee Haney does not count for anything. You have to put an asterisk next to Lee Haney because you can literally say Lee Haney did or didn't do every category. True. He doesn't count, and he definitely didn't have a baby in his house while he was doing it.
He might have. But anyway.
So I'm sure this guy wanted to just spend some time with his family and work on that because it was a long year. He was supposed to do the Arnold and then got sick. He was in the hospital and then he had to keep going, So that's a toll on the people in your life. So either way, him doing that and getting a lot of shit, it's really crazy and just shows how kind of fucked up this industry is now, because back in the day, somebody could be like Lee Priest or Dorian, and they look... I mean, Lee Priest's transformation is always going to be the most insane ever.
Dude, he looked like a glazed donut in the offseason.
Those overalls that was like... But people don't know, and that's the problem. And I've been saying this about a lot of the even pros that are pros today. They've been following bodybuilding for maybe 5 years. The first Mr. Olympia they can remember is Jay Cutler. Wow. And it's really hard for people to understand that this is part of it, and it happens. But as long as on the day of the show, he's going to be on point, who cares? But wasn't it back in the day where if somebody did something and then they were like the champ, didn't that mean like you would have to do that too to be the champ? You know, like I would think if Shawn looked like that and he's Mr. Olympia, that means to me, as I'm like an old school fan, I should take a break and I should look like that too. Where now it's like the opposite.
Right.
It's like you can literally be the best, and obviously what you're doing, it works. Whatever you're doing is obviously number one in the world. Who is anyone to say that maybe this isn't what we all should be doing? And that's what I'm saying. It just doesn't make sense how we're picking and choosing what open pros do stuff that is stuff we should do and stuff that's a no-no.
Well, see, I talked about this with Shawn Ray the other day. I just wonder, is it a bad look when Mr. Olympia is basically saying, it's not healthy for me to look the way you guys want me to look year-round, and I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to look like that for a couple months before the show, and that's it. Because, you know, I'm in my 40s, I have a kid, and I'm concerned about my health and longevity. So reading between the lines, it says, looking like that, looking the way I look is not good for you. I don't know.
But isn't that true though? I mean,
are you gonna? It's absolutely
true.
I
mean, who's done a show before and says that being that body fat percentage all year round is going to be healthy? He's not lying, and I think again that gets back to social media, is that some people don't want to know the truth. You have all these ebook and all these Instagram people who are in shape, and they do the same thing. They're in shape for like 6 months out of the year, and they take a gazillion pictures, and they post that for the whole year, and now they're in shape all year, when really they're not, because they don't show up to expos and they're not in the limelight. And I just feel like it's just, we're comparing and remember too, we have to remember he's an open pro bodybuilder. Right. To compete with the biggest people in the world, you have to do certain things that classic, men's physique, and even 212 don't have to do. 212 in the off season, I feel like they're spending more of their time, and classic as well. Any classes that have weight limits, I feel like they're spending so much time like figuring out weight distribution. You know, and their off season, they're like, oh, I got to take this muscle from my back and put it into my legs or whatever. Right. Us, it's just you need to eat as many calories as possible. And you need to get so god awful fat. And that's what I say all the time. If you look good in the off season, you're going to look small on stage. And it's a fact. Every time. No one looks good in the off season and looks big on stage. Cool. It's not happening. And if you want to bring up Shawn Ray, there was a completely different bodybuilding back in his day. And what they had to do, and there's plenty of guest postings where Shawn Ray looked like a fucking donut. So the fact that he is always the first one to do it is so disrespectful. But I promise you, every day Shawn Ray loses more credibility, because when he doesn't ever give anyone any positive input ever, everything he says is kind of just like bullshit anyway, and no one really cares. They don't. And that's how it is. And that's how a general amount of the open pros feel about Shawn Ray and his opinion. It's when people say it, he said something, it's just like, yeah, Shawn Ray. Yeah. Everybody says that. It doesn't matter anymore. And he needs to wake up and realize, at least throw in a couple compliments here and there. And Dallas brought it up too. And he got all mad when Dallas brought it up too, but he said a lot of facts. And I think everybody should wait and watch and see when's the next time Shawn Ray gives anyone a compliment and actually talks good. Because unless you look like Shawn Ray or have Shawn Ray's abs or Shawn Ray's flat top hair, you're not as good as him. And that's how it's always going to be with him. So who cares what he has to say about someone who won a title he never won? And Shawn Ray told someone that Shawn Rhoden was a one-hit wonder. So I think he was a little off on there.
Well,
so
we'll find out in 9 weeks. But you know,
who knows? But it doesn't matter. No matter what, none of us should have a say in how somebody looks. And if because he's saying the truth that it is unhealthy to be lean all year round, then it's true. And why are we getting mad? Why are we getting mad at this guy for saying the truth, spending time with his family, and he's got one of the best midsections on the Olympia stage. So who cares at the end of the day?
Enough about Shawn Rhoden. It's time to get back to Sergio Oliva Jr. So were you still living in LA at the time of the Olympia?
I was, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I prepped for the Olympia in LA. And then I moved. Well, actually, right after the Olympia, I went to Australia. I left. Yeah, I left immediately. And I just got on a plane and I left. And I was there for a while. I just needed a break. And I loved it. And I needed it. And then I was very excited to get back. And then as soon as I got back, I moved to San Diego. and it's literally been the best decision of my life.
Yeah, why San Diego? What was wrong with LA? What do you like better about San Diego? Let's put it that way.
Godly, I mean, everything. The people, the gym, the weather. But the main thing for me is I needed to get away from a lot of bad memories in LA and a lot of things that kind of just made me not happy. And here, I have no bad memories. And the gym here, it's called The Gym, San Diego. It's just so, everyone's so supportive. And there's no hate. Gold's Gym is riddled with hate. You have people that are Instagrammers fighting with actual real athletes. And it's just, and I miss training with Shawn, and I miss training with Dex. But in retrospect, that's it. Yeah. That's all LA has. And Dex spends a lot of time in Jacksonville, and Shawn just goes to the gym and he leaves. He's never really hanging out. So if that's the only thing good about LA, then that means that I'm not supposed to be there.
Wow. I mean,
there's a lot of drama.
So that gym itself, you know, I was lucky enough to be there when it was still Gold's Venice and still had tons of pros, and you know, it was a bodybuilding. It was the most hardcore, but well, I don't know if it was the most hardcore, but it was the bodybuilding gym in the world. Everybody wanted to go there. It really was the Mecca. You know, everybody from around the world would spend like a week in Venice every year. Of course,
that's why I moved there.
Yeah. So I mean, for you, did you have that experience? Was there still some of that magic there when you were training there?
No, yeah, because that's what I did. I always said when I was a kid, if I win my pro card, I'm gonna literally get in a car and drive to the Mecca and move to LA. And I did, and it was stupid. It was like, of course, as soon as I got there, I was dealing with rent and money issues, and of course, then I got dropped by a sponsor. Then I was really screwed. But everything happens for a reason. And when I first got there, it was cool. The nostalgia of it was really great, and it was cool to see like some people that I'm, you know, really big fans of training, just watching them and just the pictures on the wall. But you can already tell the respect is killed. Just alone, my dad's picture has a CrossFit bar across it, blocking it.
CrossFit bar.
Yeah, who's going to the Gold's Gym for a CrossFit bar? But the general manager does CrossFit.
Oh, well, there you go.
And that's what it is. And now, not only is my dad's name spelled wrong on the Gold's Gym wall, so is Franco Colombo's too. People don't care.
How'd they spell your dad's name? I got to hear how they misspelled Sergio Oliva.
Always the wrong way. Olivia.
Olivia? Are you kidding me?
I've actually rarely ever seen it just spelled properly.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So either way, there's just a lot of things. And me, I'm just such a big bodybuilding fan. Those things can't not bother me. So it was cool being there. I've met great people. I wouldn't have won New York if I wasn't in that gym. And again, like I said earlier, I'll never forget it. It was a day that I was like kind of thinking, man, did I make the mistake of moving to Gold or moving to LA and all for just one gym? And I remember sitting in the front by myself, like, fuck, what am I going to do? And Shawn is just leaving, and he happens to stop and is like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm just going to figure out what I'm going to train. And he's like, well, if you show up at 2:00 every day, you can train with me and Charles. And I literally showed up 150 every single day. So it's just, but I wouldn't have been able to have been sitting there for him to have offered that if I wasn't in that atmosphere. Right. So there's plenty of good and there's plenty of bad. I just do better when I'm away and I can just eat, sleep, and train, and that's it. A lot of bodybuilders like the attention. They like taking their shirt off and doing photo shoots and just being a bodybuilder, and that's completely okay. Yeah. I'm completely opposite. I just want to Dorian Yates it and disappear, show up for my show and do my work, and then go back home.
So how long had you been in San Diego before you started training with Eddie Bracamontes?
Not long. I had already talked to him about it before I moved there. That was kind of the plan. As I was really moving for that gym. The gym shits on Gold's Gym. It is. Really?
Is this Pete Cicconi's gym?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, it used to be World Gym, and it's actually Nasser's gym. That's the gym that Nasser Sambati used to.
Oh wow.
Train at. So just the amount of machines they have in there, like Gold's Gym, they have not put a new machine in there in years. Every other month, this place is taking new stuff out and putting prime machines in there, and they also have Nautilus in there, and that's the kind of bodybuilder I feel like I am. I say this all the time. I'm like old school and new school put together, so I need that kind of gym to counter that. So I had told Eddie that I was planning on moving down and we were going to train together because I don't know if a lot of people know, me and Eddie went against each other at Nationals.
2015, right? He was runner-up to you.
Yeah, right, exactly. We had actually went against each other at USA's prior, and I remember being so worried about. I can never remember this guy's name either because he won and he tied Bob Ciccarello for the most tries to get a pro card.
Oh God.
What's his name? You should know. I
Sure.
forget, but he won USA's and then he lost to Cody. He won the supers and lost to Cody in the overall. So I just remember being so worried about him that Eddie almost beat me at USA's. I remember being like, "What? Who is this guy?" I couldn't tell if it was like Hispanic, Native American. Like he just had this look.
He does.
And I used Eddie, and then after that show, I left Fair and went to Aceto for nationals. And then I knew Eddie was going to be my competition for nationals, and I would just follow him over and over and over again, and it made me be the best I ever had, and I narrowly beat him. And we had been friends since that day, so we talked all the time. So I was really excited to train with him, and we're really alike too. Eddie's the kind of the same thing bodybuilder. He's not very attention grabbing, and he's just really form oriented, and he's really serious about his workouts. And the more boring your life is, the better. And that's kind of how we both live. So it was perfect, and it's been the best. It has literally been. He's the best workout partner I've ever had, and it's been really cool to now be on the other side watching him do shows. Now that I'm taking the year off, I've never done that before. I've never watched someone I know do a show, and I never realized that. It's a wreck. I don't know how people do it with me.
Yeah. I don't know when did you decide what your plans were going to be? Did you decide after the Olympia that you were going to take 2019 off, or did that decision come after you got back from Australia, or when did you figure all this out?
No, I wanted to keep doing the Olympia. I wanted to be able to say every time I get on stage, I qualify for the Olympia, and I have, and that's really cool. And I want to still do that. But I was thinking, I took a break off after the Olympia, and then once I got back from Australia and I got back into it, I was thinking, what show would I have enough time to prep for? And it was just going to be probably Tampa or Chicago again. And I don't know if I'm going to do another Chicago show for a while until I can fix my time clock. This is something I talked about after Chicago, and if you say anything after you lose, you're like destroyed and people don't even listen to you. What I was trying to explain is that I'm a night owl. I go to bed at like 3, 4 a.m. and I wake up really late. So the Tim Gardner shows are the earliest starting shows. The night show started at 4 o'clock, and the open pros were the last on stage in prejudging.
Yep. So
we're last in prejudging and first. So my body needs time to dry out, and I do. I'm just not even awake. And look at New York. New York, I was on stage at like 9 o'clock at night. I was peeled. So I need to fix, and that's not on anyone else but myself. That's just me. I need to turn my body into a regular bodybuilder and get up early and be ready and awake for prejudging. So it'll be a while.
Why do you go to bed so late? That's ridiculous. 3 to 4 a.m.
I have my whole life. I've always been working like night shifts or night security or whatever it is. My whole life, yeah.
It's too late.
I haven't been to bed before 2 o'clock in probably 10 years.
Wow, that's ridiculous, man.
But that's something late. Yeah. You know what? I also love it too, because then I go to the gym twice a day. So then I go back at 10 o'clock and nobody's there. I love it. That's the best time to train. So, but I'll fix that. So either way, until then, I can't do another Tim Gardner show. I just can't. They just aren't for my body right now. So it was going to be maybe Tampa, and I can maybe pull it together. And I had talked to Dex in March about him doing it, and he said he for sure was doing it. So there was no point. I wasn't going to diet the whole entire year when this guy is maybe on his way out, and this might be his last show, and I'm going to diet the whole year for a second place and then do nothing. Yeah, I'd rather just for the first time in my life, because I've never done this before. I've never had an off season in my entire career.
Really?
It's always another show. Yeah, or always like fuck up my life, and then I have to barely get it together right before a show. But I've never had just time where I'm just growing and nothing's really destroying my life. So I'm curious to see, because last year was the worst year of my life, and I still made it to be top 16 in the world. So now I'm thinking to myself, what could I do if I actually just had a proper off season, some time to actually grow and eat? So I made that decision when Dexter told me he was going to do Tampa. So I was always going to take the year off.
Yeah, I mean, smart choice, because you know I don't bullshit. So when I saw you win the New York Pro. I've seen you at all your pro shows, I believe, and structure and shape, awesome. I just said, it's hard to say that a guy who's 260. You were about 260 on stage last year, right?
No, it was 272.
272. Okay. So let me back it up because now it's going to sound even more ridiculous when I say it. Sergio needs to be bigger. He needs to fill out more. 272 pounds, you would think, oh my God, that was Dorian at his biggest. That was, Ronnie when he was Jay. That's about as big as any human needs to possibly be. But you need to be bigger than you were last year.
Yeah, and I know that too. I was the only one person who outweighed me at the Olympia, and I tell people that
Rami.
Because I want, yeah, damn you, Rami. And I say that because I want people to be educated and understand that weight means nothing. It means absolutely nothing on stage, and you know more than anybody, you can lose weight and look bigger. So just because I weighed that amount, that seems like a lot, but exactly, look, that's not even third call out. Yeah. And that's the other thing that I took from the Olympia. The experience was amazing, but they put me between Big Ramy and Phil Heath on purpose. They absolutely did that. There was no reaon when I was qualified.
When your number was between their numbers?
That's how I came out. I was in the call out with Ramy and Phil. Oh. I don't even remember who was on the other side.
Wow.
But I'm literally in between them, in between both of them. And
I mean, isn't that an honor? Don't you want to be next to Mr. Olympia? That's awesome.
I promise you, if I was a typical bodybuilder, I would have hated it. Now you lose followers, you look small, you look like shit. Me, I love it. I love feeling like shit. I love feeling small. And I love, because again, I'm not a typical bodybuilder. So when I'm out in public, I hate the stares. I hate the you're big, because I know I'm not. So it's such a gratifying feeling when you're reminded how fucking small you really are.
Wow.
So I love that, actually. But it also did remind me that if I only had about 3 or 4 months before I started dieting again, I would just look the same. Yeah. And that's what's happening with a lot of these guys. They kind of look a little bit better each year, and then it takes them 10 years before they can actually get to something maybe like a first call in the Olympia. Right. I'd rather just take the year out, gain the amount of weight I would have in the next 3 years of doing consistent shows, and this way I can say I tried. Because before this, I can't say what I would look like with an off season. So
when did this off season officially start? As far as you're concerned?
Right before the Arnold. So maybe end of February, I really got on it. And yeah, my weight's skyrocketed up. I feel really good. I'm fixing the lagging body parts that I needed to fix. So I'm excited.
In May, you posted a picture, said it was I don't know if it was a current shot, because you like to troll us. It was the most muscular. You said 305 in the 619. So were you actually 305 that day, and that was the picture of you at 305?
Yeah, that day. Yeah.
Wow, because the condition, you just said you need to get fat. You weren't fat in that picture at all. At all.
No, that's just good lighting. That everyone takes that same picture at that spot and go at the gym in San Diego. It's got that cross light. It makes everybody look good.
If
it's really
fat, there's no lighting in the world that's going to help you, dude.
If it was like a front double or front lat spread, maybe. It was a most muscular. I can hide a lot of this chub. But yeah, you're right. So trust me, that's what I'm trying to do, is push as many calories. I'm trying to eat 10,000 calories a day.
Wow.
And I want to try and get so fucking unhealthily fat, and then I won't be able to say I didn't do it right. I didn't have a good off season, because I guess this is a Ron MD exclusive. I'm gonna do the Arnold as my next show.
Yes, thank you, Jesus.
So
Allah be praised.
So besides all the mystique that is with that show, it's a huge thing for me to even want to do that show. That means I feel like I'm obviously doing pretty well, but that also means I have to bring my best. I mean, literally, Arnold's watching. So
I would, if I was in charge of the Arnold and who gets into the show, I would absolutely want Sergio Oliva Jr. in my Arnold Classic. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I've got the nomination every year I've been a pro. I just feel like when people step on certain stages and they're not that quality, it's disrespectful. I feel like there's a lot of people that have done the Arnold. But again, that's just me. I'm just such a historian of the sport, and I feel like the person who barely beat John De La Rosa at New York doesn't have any business being at an Arnold. I just don't. That would have been a second or third call-out.
Yeah, I mean, I've also they try to make it a very international show, so there's always one or two guys you've never heard of. I'm not going to say the countries like Russia, but it's always like, they're not bad bodybuilders, but in that lineup, you're like, they don't really belong up there with the Dexters and the Bonacks and the Rolly Winklers. I mean, it's an elite level. It's almost the same level as the Olympia, competitor-wise. You should be pretty damn awesome if you're up there at the Arnold Classic.
Right, exactly. And I say that all the time. I promise you, I would rather take a Luke or a Raphael placing, being in a first caller at an Arnold, than beating who I beat at New York and taking a first place, which sounds nuts. New York is like the third best show in the world. I have this ring. It is literally the best thing I've ever achieved in my entire life. But I'm very aware of where I am and where bodybuilding is. And I said this the day after I won New York. The year before I won New York, it was Dexter, Rowley, Nathan, Kuklo. That lineup is insane. And if I had won that show, that's completely different. Right. That's a Night of Champions lineup, and that would never be overseen by any second or third place at an Arnold. But me, I would way rather take a first call out at the Arnold than going and winning Chicago. I really would. I want to be Mr. Olympia one day, and I want to win the Arnold Classic champion. So winning local shows, it's just not something that I'm willing to risk my whole career for and kind of even lose muscle and tear my body down just to say I did it.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to call them local shows. Let's just call them second tier shows, But so you were 305 back in May. Can I ask what you're pushing the scales at right now?
Yeah, I stopped weighing myself. I'm really bad at it. The only reason I did weigh myself is because Aceto wanted to know. He's really big on weight. But I mean, I got to be 310. I would imagine I've gained 5 pounds since then. But I wouldn't know until I start dieting. I won't weigh myself again.
Yeah. So
I'm all about
the body parts that I was knocking the shit out of you last year were chest and back. So what's going on with your chest and back?
That's it. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Because from the front, I want you to be as thick from the side as you are from the front and the back. That's an awesome bodybuilder, and I didn't see that with you last year. That's the key. That's the missing ingredient. That front to back thickness. When you have that, yikes! Look the fuck out.
For sure. That's literally what I've been doing. I've been doing chest and back twice a week, every week, and I've been killing it. And yeah, I mean, no matter what, I'm gonna be different. But that's the thing. That's what I've been saying. And every pro should want to be drastically different between each show. It shouldn't just be, oh, I improved, and you have to put pictures next to each other where you can barely tell. I want to walk out and people are like, man, this is a completely different human being.
Yeah. That's my pet peeve is when guys say, I'm improved this and that, and I look at them and I say, dude, you look exactly the same as you did last year. I don't know what the fuck you're looking at. And they get all mad, but I'm like, if it was that obvious, people would be able to tell. You wouldn't have to tell people. They'd be like, holy shit, look at him now.
Exactly. Yeah, you remember that Phil where he walked out at one of those Olympias? That walk, I want to have that. I want to have that walk where you walk out and it's just like, well, shit, who's second?
Well, the first Olympia, when he took second to Jay, the last year Jay won, when he walked out, it was like that. And I had him winning that show, the 2010.
Yeah.
But that was like, oh my God, everyone just like looked at each other and laughed. It's like, look at that. That is like that's about as good as a bodybuilder can look right there.
And then he wins and everybody hates him. Yeah. That's how it is.
Exactly.
That's how it is. And I got to be ready for that. But no one's been more hated than me, even just where I'm at to my point. So I'm already used to it.
I wouldn't say that. You do get
Yes. You'll never be able to name another amateur and pro that's been more hated than me from the beginning of their career. All I've heard is you're never from the day I lifted a weight. Even when I just even started getting into the gym when I was like 145 pounds, people are like, well, when are you going to start lifting? I'm like, fuck, I've already been lifting for a few years. Shit, when are you going to look like your dad? That's what I hear. And that's really what it comes down to is no matter what, I always say this, no matter what call out I'm in, there's always an imaginary guy standing next to me that I'm also as well getting compared to. And it used to bother me. It really did used to bother me a lot. And I actually didn't realize how much it bothered me. But once I won New York, it doesn't bother me anymore. It doesn't faze me anymore. And I think because deep down, I kind of believed it. Maybe I didn't deserve to be where I was. But now I've done shit that has nothing to do with my dad. And now it's just kind of like, I think it's funny. I think it's funny how I can literally, every time I step on stage, I qualify for the Olympia. Every time I step on stage, I look better. I improve drastically each time. I mean, my timing with my condition and water was off for a little bit in Chicago, but the muscle difference was completely different. So then who cares? It doesn't matter. And I'm in this for 10 years. I'm in this for my 10 year, and I don't plan on going anywhere. So it doesn't faze me anymore. But it really does come down to that. I will always. Aceto said it best. If I win a show, people are like, "Oh yeah, he's Sergio's son." Yeah. Right. If I lose, it's like, oh, see, I told you he's never going to live up to it. His dad was this, his dad was that, and that's what it's going to be forever. And if I win the Olympia, I think I would win the Olympia and literally retire on stage. I would never give people that chance to turn into where I'm the bad guy.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Levrone always said that, and I believe him now because he's said it so many times with conviction. He said if he ever won the Olympia, that would have been his last show ever. But no question, I'm done. He would have dropped the mic. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I think you'd change. I have to think standing there with the trophy and all that, it could sway your opinion about it.
For sure, you're right. Yeah. But I actually don't even think about that. I think more about the Arnold than I do anything else. I don't think, except for Phil and Shawn, no one's ever really won the Olympia without winning the Arnold anyway. So thinking about something later on is just really pointless. I think Ronnie won the Arnold after he won the Olympia.
He did,
right?
He did.
Yeah. So besides him, usually, that's you're next in line.
Yeah, I mean, that's when Flex won all those Arnolds. Everyone's like, well, he's definitely got to be Mr. Olympia, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, right. And that's the other thing I say too. You'll see my fans every now and then. They'll write it. My real fans. I always say I'm not gonna win the Olympia, and that helps me more than saying you're gonna be this, because one, it means you don't know me, because I don't like that kind of attention. But two, even if you just know the sport, only Phil Heath is the only person who's ever won the Olympia that was said he was going to win in the beginning of his career. No one's ever said to any one of the 14 people, you're going to be Mr. Olympia one day, and they won it. It was always, they weren't even someone they were talking about. It's all the Shawn Ray's, Chris Cormier's, Kevin Leverone's, Flex Wheeler, Labrada, all those second places were the ones that you're going to be the next Mr. Olympia, and you never do. So if anything, to me, I think it's a curse, and I say that all the time. So really, you're cursing people when you say you're a future Mr. Olympia, and if you really care about me, say you're never going to, because the last 14 guys, or 13 besides Phil, were told they were never going to win. Ronnie was never going to win. I mean, that everyone should watch that Flex Wheeler documentary, and it really shows how Ronnie was picked on. He was kind of like a joke. Nobody really even cared about him, whether they were traveling. He'd take dead last. Yeah. You know, there's just so many people. No one thought Jay was going to beat Ronnie. It didn't.
No. I mean, I thought Ronnie was going to win that thing till I was 100 years old.
I thought he was going to win 10 for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to give you a chance to talk about the sponsor you do have right now, Titan Grips.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
I asked you to bring a couple to show to the camera. Do you have them right there? Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. No, it's actually I used like a bunch of different grips before in the past, and that's probably one thing that I am thankful that I don't have to really stress about is my forearms and training them. That's probably the one thing I would admit I got for sure from my dad. But so I never really used any of those grips and stuff like that. But Titan Grips is completely different because it like changes how you work out. It has nothing to do with your forearms at all. Even though our workouts are all through our hands, it doesn't implement your forearms or train them whatsoever. It's really good for pros and amateurs. So it's really good for pros because sometimes we want to make sure a perfect example is back. Back's the biggest muscle in the body. You can be doing underhand movements, which is lower back, and still be doing your upper back. You can do certain movements that are only supposed to work certain areas, and you're really not. So by the way that they're angled, they make it where you're pulling with the right fingers, and it makes you drive your elbows in or out. It's just a natural movement. And it's really good for amateurs too, who maybe don't know how to work out or maybe have pain in their elbows when they're doing curls and stuff like that. And it just niches the angle a little bit. So thankfully I've been using these like every day, and it's really helped me to fill in the gaps that I want to do. I want to fill in so many gaps, even just for like the victory pose. I still feel like I look like shit when I hit that. I'm not satisfied with that at all. I'm not satisfied with anything.
Oh my goodness gracious.
But right, and now I want to start. There's a big difference of the top of your lats and the bottom of your lats, and you can't just go in and say I'm doing lower lats. That's something you have to completely focus on and make sure that you're doing it right. So I'm really thankful that Titan Grips has really helped me out with that, and they're sticking with me. I'll always remember who was there for me when I wasn't, at the top. You're the only person who's reached out to me in this time where I'm, taking a break.
People forgot about Dre and they forgot about Sergio.
But I love that. That's that quote, and people think if you're not posting on social media that you're not doing anything. Right. And it's usually the opposite. That's usually when you get the most work done.
I mean, the people that post constantly, I don't know what they're getting done.
Hey, you know what they're getting done? They're taking all the sponsorships away from the actual open
That's true.
bodybuilders.
There you go.
Because there's people that have 1 million followers that haven't even won a show.
I'm not going to name his name, but there's a guy he does have a couple million followers. He came to my gym a couple years ago, and granted, I think he'd had an injury or something, so I'll give him a pass. But he looked nothing like his pictures. In fact, everybody in that gym that I know, and of course I know all the meatheads, everybody was bigger and better physique than this guy. And this guy has made a shit ton of money off of social media and sponsorships and everything. And I was just shaking my head because I was like, talk about an illusion. This is a perfect example of how social media has nothing to do with real life. This guy is not who you thought he was. Doesn't look like that. It's all an illusion. Anyway, man.
I used to get so angry. It used to bother me so much when because I already don't want to write off my name, so I try and work really hard, and then I feel like if I can do this or work on this or fix this or even win a show, that should still bring something. And then I have to constantly watch people who maybe even don't even do shows, it's not even making more money than me. They're like borderline rich. Yeah. And it was hard to swallow. But I just now realized that's just part of the game now, and that is part of it. And if you met like a magician and you found out magic wasn't real, you can't get mad at them that they're fucking making people believe that what they're doing is real. It's their fault for falling for it. But it is taking away from the actual real athletes that are helping and reaching out. So nobody wants to prep with real coaches anymore, because you can buy an ebook for $10 and
everything you need to know right there.
That's it, right? So and it's slowly actually degrading and deteriorating the fitness industry as a whole. And but I feel like one day Instagram is going to end. I feel like everything's in like a stride. I'm sure people were thinking Facebook was the future and MySpace was the future.
MySpace, I thought that'd never go away.
So I'm sure at some point the real people who are real will still be here one day. And that's what I say all the time, is that no matter what, this is all I want if I can get out of my career, is that someone's talking about me or something I did 10 or 20 years from now.
I'm looking up your Instagram right now.
No one's going to care.
Sergio, okay, so the Instagram, everybody, is no spaces, all lowercase, Sergio Oliva Jr., 375K followers. That's not shabby at all.
I lost followers.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what happens when you disappear. People don't care about you.
They unfollowed just because you hadn't posted in a while?
Yeah, I mean, but those mean that those weren't real fans anyway. Those are like the ones that are just kind of really random. And if you're going to talk about numbers of social media followers, I can show you all my DMs throughout the day where people are sending me things to pay $500 for 10,000. So people don't. I would never do that. I also just don't even care to do that, let alone even if it was free. But these people they are buying followers. They don't have these 1 million followers, and they didn't do some shicey shit in there. There's just...
Well, if you got 1 million followers and your pictures average like 500 or 1,000 likes, the math doesn't add up.
Right. So
I guess your followers don't like any of your pictures, dude.
Thankfully, for what I want to do for a living, social media followers have nothing to do with it. When I step on stage, none of those followers are with me. And I also say this all the time, too, that people need to understand the difference between a follower and a fan. It's a big difference. A follower is just someone who literally clicks a button and it says follow on it. So a lot of the times, those are your haters. Majority of my followers are people who only want to keep up on me so they can be the first to say, oh, he failed. They're not usually your biggest fans. Fans are the ones who are communicating with you. They're commenting. They're reaching out. You see them in person. They buy your merch. Those are real fans. And they also stick with you. And I see people on boards and tagging me saying, like, oh, if I did that show, I would have won, or where am I at? And that means a lot. It means a lot that people are thinking about me. But I just don't care about followers. And I think that's probably why I get a lot of hate too, because I'll literally tell someone to their face, I don't care. I'm just so old school. And I do have a lot of my dad in me. And I said this at the press conference. Can you imagine if my dad had social media? He literally would look up people's addresses on his police scanner and find them. When I went to his funeral, of course, now all the cops want to tell me about the stories when my dad was younger and stuff like that. And yeah, my dad was a little like, I mean, he was not a bully, but he did not mess around. I mean, there was a time where there was one story they told me that this guy, and sometimes he caused problems himself because he was so scary in that uniform, that he pulled somebody over and he was asking for their license, and they were so scared to roll the window down that they were kind of putting it through a little slot, and he dropped it. And my dad was like, get out of the car and pick up your license. And the guy was so scared to get out of his car, he didn't get out. So my dad literally put his hands in the window, pushed the window down, took the guy out through the window, held him by his ankles, and told him to pick up the license. And, of course, he got suspended, he got in trouble, but that was like in the 80s. Can you imagine today? Any of these guys. Arnold is so social media savvy now. He's like one of the best. He's so funny. But if it was when he was currently Mr. Olympia and old Arnold, oh my God, he'd be a Phil Heath. Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. He would. And we know it. So,
I think he would have been too busy sending dick pics to girls to worry about his haters. That's what he would
I wasn't going to say it.
Oh, definitely. He was a dog back in the day. No,
for sure. They all
shame
were.
in his
They
game.
all were.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Man, Sergio, I got to thank you for giving me the scoop on that. I don't get too many exclusives, so I'm going to give you this gift. You suck. You will never be Mr. Olympia. Yeah.
Thanks. That actually is the best. That's the best you could ever do to help me. I appreciate it.
Oh, man. All right, man. You've been very generous with your time, and I'm going to let everyone know we spent about an hour and a half trying to get your Skype going yesterday, and you did not bail on me. You kept trying and trying for the sport. Technology hates us. I don't know what to say, but we got it done. Thank God, and awesome, man.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it, and thanks, MD, too, because you guys are giving me my only covers, and you've really just supported me, even if because nowadays the sponsors pay for you to get magazines, and it only makes sense. You got to pay for these things to run, and I get that. Yeah. And I got 2 covers with no sponsor, and that's rare. That is rare. Yeah. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget who was there from the beginning. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And yes, absolutely. Sponsors pay. Supplement companies play a bigger part in the magazines than they did when I was a young cub writer. Let me tell you that for sure. So, okay, that's it, man. I'm gonna let you go. I appreciate your time, and I'm glad to hear you're doing the Arnold. I've often wondered, why doesn't Sergio do the Arnold? That'd be a great show for him. Well,
yeah, I can tell you right now too, and if Jocelyn Ardowitz is watching, I'm gonna win that Best Poser award. I will win that award every single year I do the Arnold, unless Kai comes back, and then he can have it. But I'll win that for sure, and I'm coming for my first call out. So we'll see.
All right, Josh, you heard it. The gauntlet has been thrown down. Cool.
Awesome.
All right, man. Sergio, thank you so much. Thank you guys, everybody, for watching Ronline Report with Sergio Oliva Jr. Now you know what he's up to. He's not disappeared off the face of the earth. He's alive and well in San Diego, training, getting big, and getting ready to win the 2020 Arnold Classic.
Whoa. That's a lot of pressure.
Okay, well, we hope.
We'll take it.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Ron.
We'll see you
Later.